Hey, Brandon Piper here, doing a UFC prediction video for the Saturday night's card, headlining Lyoto Machida versus Munoz. Pretty good card. It's free, so can't complain. Definitely gonna watch them. For any of you bettors out there betting on the fights, you can take my advice or don't. Definitely don't blame me for taking my picks because honestly, I don't know who's going to win. These are just my honest opinions. Sometimes I do pick them right. Sometimes I'm completely off. So it's really unpredictable, but hopefully this gives you an upper hand in your future bets. And hopefully I make you some money, and hopefully I make some money in the process. So the first fight, Lyoto Machida versus Munoz. In this fight, I'm going to have to say Lyoto Machida, but don't be surprised if Mark wins. Mark's got incredible wrestling. I can see him just taking Lyoto down, keeping the pressure on, and just grinding out a decision, but Lyoto can always catch him with that counter strike. So I'm going to say Lyoto Machida by knockout in the third or fourth, but Mark could grind out a decision. If you could find somebody to do a 2-to-1 bet with you, I would definitely go with Mark. If Mark wins, you get $10. If Lyoto wins, you give him 5. I would definitely do that. But yeah, Lyoto Machida will probably take it. The co-main event features Ross Pearson versus Melvin Guillard, which in my opinion will probably be fight of the night or knockout of the night. It's actually got the potential to be one of the best fights of the year. I'm looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure Melvin will take this one. Melvin Guillard by knockout. He's an animal in there. He knocks out the majority of his opponents. And when he does lose, he loses by submission, which Ross Pearson kind of lacks in. He doesn't have that great of a submission game. Just don't go up and get a beer for this one. Like, you want to be sitting down, locked in, because this is going to be a great fight. I'm telling you. It's going to end with a knockout, and I'm saying Melvin Guillard knockout first or second round. Moving on to the light heavyweight bout with Ryan Gemmo versus Jimmy Manuwa. I don't know much about Jimmy Manuwa, but I do know Ryan Gemmo. He's a Canadian. I think he's tied with the fastest knockout in UFC history with about 7 seconds, which might have been a fluke, but that's still impressive. He's lost against James Tahuna, but has won his other 2 fights in the UFC. But Jimmy is undefeated. He's got great knockout power as well. And he's kind of similar to James Tahuna, who lost to Ryan Gemmo, so I'm going to lean to Jimmy for this one by knockout. But I want Ryan Gemmo to win. That robot he does after his fights is actually pretty entertaining and impressive as well. If you haven't checked out his robot, he's got some skills. But yeah, Jimmy Manuwa, probably going to win. Next fight is Norman Park versus John Tuck. Norman Park actually won the Ultimate Fighter with the season where Ross Pearson and George Soteropoulos were coaching. I think it was in Australia. He beat Colin Fletcher to win it. And John Tuck was also in the Ultimate Fighter. He got taken out before he could get into the house, though, unfortunately. He actually cut his toe open pretty bad. He threw a kick and the bone actually came right out of his skin. It's pretty nasty, but yeah, it's unfortunate that happened to him. If you want to check it out, just YouTube John Tuck gross toe. It'll probably come up. If you have a weak stomach, I wouldn't recommend it, but yeah. Anyways, Norman Park versus John Tuck. I would have to say this is a toss-up. I'm going to say Norman Park. He won the Ultimate Fighter. He's undefeated in the UFC. I just think he's got more experience. He's definitely got a lot more fights. John Tuck's 6-0. Norman Park has like 20 or 25 fights. So I say Norman Park by decision. Okay. Moving on to the middleweight fight, Alessio Sakara versus Nicholas Musoki. I have no idea who Nicholas Musoki is. He doesn't even have a link for the Wikipedia page, so not sure what he's all about. I do know Alessio Sakara. He's been in the UFC for years now. He's a good fighter. He's got knockout power. I think he's the only Italian in the UFC, one of the only Italians. He's on a bit of a losing streak, but I can see him getting back to his winning ways this weekend, getting a big knockout. So expect him to win in devastating fashion. I'm going to say like a big knockout, first or second round. He's just going to come in there and look like the old Alessio Sakara. Last fight on the Fox Sports main card is in the flyweight division, Phil Harris versus John Lineker. Now, the flyweights, to be honest, probably put on the best fights. They're just non-stop, go, go, go. They never lack in energy. Never lack in energy. They're like the Energizer Bunnies out there. I would say John Lineker. He's won his last two. He's definitely got the speed advantage. I think he's got the power advantage. He's on the brink of a title shot. If he wins this fight by knockout or submission, if he finishes Phil Harris, he's going to get a title shot, in my opinion. I think so. So John Lineker is the big favorite, I think. So that should be easy money. So this is the prelims on Facebook. The first fight is Al Iaquinta versus Piotr Hallman. Again, I've never heard of Piotr Hallman. He doesn't have a link either. Al Iaquinta, though, he was on The Ultimate Fighter. I think he won the quarterfinals, but then lost. He just beat Ryan Couture, actually, which is a pretty big win. Randy Couture's son, which kind of sucks. I was hoping Ryan Couture would make it pretty far in the UFC, but I think he's cut now. Anyways, Al Iaquinta, I can see him taking this. I don't know how, but he's going to win. Middleweight fight, we got Luke Barnett versus Andrew Craig. Luke Barnett, really tall guy. He's 6'6", one of the tallest guys in the middleweight division. Going up against Andrew Craig, who's also pretty tall, 6'1". Andrew Craig just beat Chris Lieben. And Luke Barnett just won his last fight at the Ultimate Fighter finale. I'm going to say Luke Barnett. He's tall, lanky, strong, good kickboxer. I think he's going to be able to stuff Andrew Craig's takedowns and pick him apart on the feet. So, yeah, Luke Barnett by potential knockout or grind out a decision. Next fight, we got Rosie Sexton versus Jessica Andrade. Now, the women's fights are always awesome, too. Like, they just always go for it. They never stop. They're just, I don't know, they're just entertaining fights. I don't think I've ever seen a boring women's fight, to be honest. I'm really glad they're finally in the UFC. Anyways, I don't really know them that well since they just joined the UFC. This is a toss-up. I'm going to say Rosie Sexton. She's got the experience. She's faced stiffer level opponents. So Rosie Sexton by decision. I can see this being fight of the night too. Every time there's a women's fight on a card, it's got the potential of being fight of the night. They're just so, they're really exciting. Okay, next fight. In the featherweight division, Andy Ogle versus Cole Miller. Cole Miller, another tall guy. I think the tallest guy in the featherweight division. And Andy Ogle, he's another guy from the Ultimate Fighter show. I don't really know much about either of them, but I'm going to go Cole Miller. He's going to really utilize a jab, I think. Just pick Andy Ogle apart, and yeah, I think he's going to get the win. Cole Miller. Featherweight fight, again, is Jimmy Hayes versus versus Robert Whiteford. Jimmy, he's got a couple fights in the UFC. He beat Nam Fan, which is pretty impressive. Nam Fan is no joke. And Robert Whiteford was a late replacement, his UFC debut. I have no idea who he is. I'm going to go Jimmy by submission, knockout, or decision. Somehow he's winning. There's no way. I can't see him losing this fight. So Jimmy, big win Saturday night. Okay, the last fight on the card. Brad Scott versus Michael Kuiper in the middleweight class. Brad Scott fought for the Ultimate Fighter finale. He was going to win the show, but ended up losing a decision, I think, against Robert Whittaker. And Michael Kuiper, he's a devastating striker. Actually, he's a really good striker, really good stand-up fighter. If Brad Scott can close the distance and grind him up against the fence, get the takedown, Brad Scott should take it. But if Michael Kuiper can keep it standing where he's comfortable, Michael Kuiper will definitely get a knockout. So, those are all the fights. Hopefully this helps with your picks on Saturday night. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. Let me know what you think of my picks, and yeah, if this is successful, I'll keep making videos and keep helping you make money as best as I can. So yeah, have a great night or day, whatever time it is where you are, and I'll catch you next time. Enjoy the fights.